Superstition plays a part in folklore throughout history, especially when it comes to naming things. Just think, how many places have you been that has some sort of dark name? Most deals with the devil or some dark entity. There are a number of places and landmarks that have the name devil in it. There's Devil's Tower, Backbone, Knee, Bridge, and many more. Some of these names were given for multiple reasons, several of which have had original names or even had attempts to change the names. However, to the local people around it, the name Devil's Blank has stuck. There are countless examples across the world. Europe and North America has numerous landmarks. It's hard to have an estimate time for when these places were first called this. Many places in Europe have legends behind their names. These legends date back so far, it's impossible to tell where it started. Most of these legends began by being passed around orally, and it's hard to put a date to it. Across Europe, there is what is called Devil's Bridges. You can find them in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, England, France, just about anywhere. In fact, there are 49 Devil's Bridges in France alone. What's even more interesting is that these bridges all seem to have a slightly different version of the same legend. The reason these bridges have the name Devil's Bridge is because way back when these bridges came about, and people believed it was impossible for a bridge with such architecture. They believed only a supernatural force could create a bridge like it. So the basic storyline behind this legend is this. Someone is in need to get across a river or a deep gorge. In a lot of versions, they have an animal that has wandered over to the other side. The devil comes and offers to build a bridge for them, but the condition is that the devil gets the soul of the first living being to cross the bridge. Now, the person quickly agrees and normally comes back a few days later. The bridge is built and looks amazing. The person gets an animal, though, to cross the bridge and tricks the devil. Most of the versions involve a person sending their dog over by throwing food across the bridge. The devil takes the animal's soul and leaves in anger. Some legends even say that the devil never comes back to that bridge again just because of embarrassment. While it is believed this legend and the bridges date back to the Roman era, most of the bridges were in fact built in the medieval times between 1000 and 1600 AD. A specific legend in Switzerland is of the Devil's Bridge, which was built in 1565. The name Devil's Bridge was first recorded in 1587. Now it follows the same legend where the devil built a bridge for the soul of the first living thing to cross, and he was tricked. But in this case, in anger, the devil threw a stone in an attempt to destroy the bridge, but missed. The large boulder is actually still there and is called the Devil's Stone. There's been several attempts to destroy it, but in most recent years, it's still around and they moved it. Now, this legend is not strictly for bridges. There's a version of this legend that goes with a cathedral. Aachen Cathedral in Germany was first built between 780 to 800 AD under Charlemagne. The legend goes that they ran out of their building fund and the devil offered to give them money in exchange for the first mortal to enter the cathedral. Once again, the people outsmarted him and chased a wolf into the cathedral. Now the devil waited inside and took the soul of the wolf. But angered, he slammed the door shut, but his thumb was torn off. It is said you can still feel the devil's thumb in one of the two lion heads on the door. While the cathedral is not named after the devil, it is still greatly associated with having the devil's thumb in its door. Some of these landmarks aren't named after the devil because the devil had a part in its creation, but because of other mythological beliefs. In Serbia, there are rock formations called Devil's Town. These are large rock towers that have caps on the top of them. These caps are lost and gained quickly through water erosion. Locals believe this change occurs when the devils fought each other for power. In Devil's Town, there's a place called Devil's Well, which produces water that is bright red in color, as seen in this video. To top it all off, the way the rock formations are creates weird, strange noises when the wind passes through, and this led to even greater superstitious beliefs. In North America, the names were a lot younger, as the countries have been settled much later than Europe. But still, it seems The tradition of naming a landmark after the devil transferred over with the settlers. One of the most famous is the Devil's Tower in Wyoming. Although there is no folklore behind it, the name comes from a mistranslation. Its original name is from the Lakota tribe, which means Bear Lodge. In 1875, a scout mistranslated it to Bad God's Tower, and that is where the name Devil's Tower came about. There is also natural bridge formations in Antigua that is known as Devil's Bridge, too. But this does not carry the same legend as the bridges in Europe. It is said that there was a lot of slaves from the neighboring states that used to throw themselves off and would die in the rough waters below. Many people said, since there were so many suicides, the devil had to be there. Many of these natural landmarks in North America seem to have an eerie look to them. There is the Devil's Cornfield in Nevada that gets its name from plants whose former roots have been exposed to the ground receding around them. And even through the harsh weather, the water underground keeps the plant alive. A common thing, too, seems to be naming landmarks after different body parts of the devil, such as the backbone, elbow, knee, etc. Illinois has a devil's backbone that is a large cliff along the Mississippi River. There are great rapids below and made it difficult for settlers to pass. And after several people were killed trying to get through the rapids, they called this cliff Devil's Backbone. Its long, narrow, and even bumpy structure makes it appear to look like a backbone. Now, even in Indiana, there are several places named after the devil. Shade State Park, which is very close to Turkey Run State Park, there are two different features there. Shade State Park has a long history of death and Native American battles over the years. This gives it the nickname Shades of Death, but that's a whole nother story. And dealing with the devil, there is the Devil's Backbone, which is a narrow ridge that sits 100 feet up with a river on both sides. There are carvings of passenger pigeons, doves, and even a devil that date back to the early 1800s. Shades is home to Devil's Punch Bowl. This is called Devil's Punch Bowl because of the natural bowl that is bowl-like shape that formed by the water, and also the eerie shadows that are formed from the trees around it. Early settlers in Indiana called it this and believed the place to be supernatural. In the 1800s, students from a nearby college would actually come and drink from the Devil's Punch Bowl as a rite of passage. Now, these places across Europe and North America that are named after the devil are a testament to the superstition that people had and the long history of folklore in these areas. Areas that seem unnatural were seen as creation of the devil, and even after attempts to change the name of these places, the long-lasting name of the devil still holds true to the locals.